God invaded my heart about 2 years ago, and He gave me a dream to write new songs with a different angle than before. Hadn't been able to find much music out there that was created with recovery folks in mind, so I felt the urge to kind of take on the challenge myself. My dream was to record a soundtrack for recovery and then get out there and just give it away to everyone that we can. The first song that I wrote is the title track of the project called UnRaveled, and that helped me realize that there's a way that just perhaps God is speaking to me and giving me an opportunity to go to speak to people differently than what maybe typical of Christian music or just a way to find music to talk to people specifically that are trying to recover. For me, getting unraveled, that whole concept of really God having to sort of unwind me a bit in order to get me to where He needs me to be was the center of it all, right? And getting unraveled is not fun necessarily, right? It's in some ways it's even painful, but I think through that God was able to show me what He really, the places that He would really like to see me, and the things where I could have the most impact, and where other people could greatly potentially benefit from who I am and what I'm doing.
I'm here to tell you, I'm not sure that
So when I first started this process, I felt like I kind of had a dream of being able to put together a project, a musical project, a soundtrack for recovery, right? And people recovering from hurts, habits, hang-ups, whatever it is that's in their life. And the interesting thing, though, is as I began this journey musically, and other people started to join me in this ministry, different songwriters and musicians and producers and folks, as they joined up, I realized that it wasn't just people that were quote-unquote in recovery, right? I kind of just learned that everyone is in some form of recovery. That's life, right? That's what life is actually all about in a lot of ways for most of us. And so rapidly this became a project that was sort of started as an endeavor to move forward and try to help people that were in recovery based on a lot of my experience and a lot of people in my family and the likes. But what I realized is everybody's in recovery. So this became an opportunity to really speak to the world, sort of a soundtrack for life. Not necessarily all the best aspects of life, but ways to maybe bring hope and have a way to find our way through what life is throwing at us. What I would hope is that people would sort of grasp on to what I'm beginning to grasp on myself, which is God wants a relationship, and there's benefit to that relationship for sure, and you won't understand those benefits unless you begin to invest. And a lot of the things that are happening to us in our life are natural consequences, and some are unavoidable, but how are we going to make it through? Well, the only way we're going to get through that is with somebody's help, and that somebody is God. What we tried to do with this record is bring real truth in a way that was pleasing, but definitely real enough that people can relate, and the goal there being that they can discover God in a new way by being able to relate to these songs and draw on the correlations of exactly where they are in their life, and be able to point that back towards God in some way. The other thing I think is, I've been through a lot of this myself. It's either me or somebody that was working on this project. Every single song that's on this project came from an individual starting these thought processes of what their own recovery journey was like, or whatever was happening in their life, and how they found their way, and what made them see that God was the answer. I can't wait to see what else God can do, because I know He's big, and He's much bigger than me or even this record. But I'm really excited to have a front row seat and get the opportunity to see what God's going to do.
And eyes to see the glory of the coming of the Lord. You give me eyes to see the glory of the coming of the Lord. Oh, eyes to see the glory of the coming of the Lord.